Hey y'all, it's Ranessa from R.Designs. I'm just taking you through a quick setup with me for September. So here I'm prepping my page. I'm very new to embossing, so I think that I don't have a great ink here, but I try to stamp down this By the Well for God luggage stamp and then emboss it with gold glittery embossing powder from Ranger. As you can see, I don't get a great impression, and what I was wanting to do was watercolor and let the resist work, but I really should have probably stamped it again before I embossed, but you live and you learn. So anyways, I did lose some of this footage because I realized I was out of frame, but I go ahead and stamp the other side with this beautiful floral and watercolor that. And then I go in to add some shading, as you can see here with my water brush. And I'm just using the kit's color palette and just adding some darker shading in, some on the flower, and then again on the leaves, just some added green to darken those up. And then I go to move my watercolor palette, and I make a mistake here as well after I dry it. I don't get the palette good and dry, so it gets like a droplet of ink, but I'm like, oh, okay, so I can fix this. We'll just distress the page, right? So I go in with this maroon ink, and it's definitely not the color that matches the palette, so I go in with, I believe this is brushed corduroy. Yes, brushed corduroy distress ink. So I'm just distressing the page, and I realized that kind of made the blotchy mistake a little worse. So I get out my wax seal kit, and we're going to just cover that up with a wax seal. So you can always fix mistakes. Here I'm just hand lettering a scripture for the month. So keep your heart with all vigilance, for from it flow the springs of life. And that is Proverbs 4:23. So I'm just adding 2022 to my title over there, and now my wax is hot enough, and I just lift up the page to let the wax not drip off the page, and it, as you can see, just covered that up perfectly, and then used a rose stamp there. So here I cut out from the drawstring that the kit came in, the By the Well for God kit came in this drawstring bag, and I cut out the front and made it into a sticker with my Xyron sticker maker. And then I just put that down on my monthly log to the left-hand side there. And it does hang off just slightly, so I do trim off those edges. And as you can see, there is a little bit of bleed through with the watercolor, but that doesn't bother me. I can kind of cover it up with the distressing, and as you can see in a little bit. So we just paste that down and make sure it's good and stuck down, and then I go in with my title. So I'm just going to do a big caps lettering of September, and we'll just use the SEPT and get those good and stamped down. So I lay them out first, and then I pick them up with my stamp block. That way I know they're already positioned in the right position. And then I ink them up with Stays On ink. So I'm just rubbing it on my hand to kind of dirty up the stamp so it picks up the ink pretty good. And then trying to get a good impression. But with this Zequins 400 pages, without having something underneath this side of the journal, it is kind of hard to stamp. And even with this, I don't get a great impression, but I kind of like the look of it, so it kind of turns out distressed. So it works. But you may want to put something hard underneath that side of your journal if it's a new journal and you've got bulk of your pages on one side. I do get smart and turn the journal in a minute, but as you can see right now, I'm just kind of trying to work with it with my traveler's notebook underneath. Oh, and I take that back. I did use Illustrated Faith black ink, so that's probably why I didn't get the greatest deep black, but I didn't want it to bleed through onto my cover page, so. So here I'm just writing in monthly log, so very carefully. Hand lettering does take some time, and I'm just taking my time with it. I probably should have just done it on the other side of the page, but I wind up putting a sticker over there eventually, so it works. And then I'm going to write in my days of the month and the letters of the days to the other side. And then I go in with that brushed corduroy again, and I'm just distressing the pages. I kind of want the same look throughout the month, so I'm just going to do this for each of the setups. And I really love how it turned it into like a vintage look. It just really added something to it, and it makes it really fun to write on as well. So as you can see, I added my priorities to the left there, so my top priority tasks, which usually are only about 1 to 2 things, and those are for the month that I definitely want to finish this month. And then I have my events are going to be on the left hand side of the page, so I can clearly see what events that I have going on. And then on my right hand side of the page, I use that for basically like a daily log of what happened that day, so it's kind of like a month overview of everything that happened in the month. And it's really neat to just kind of look back and be like, oh, that happened on that day, you know. But it's a really quick log that I do, which I obviously go into more journaling later in, but I love having that monthly overview. And this just gives me more room to not have my events kind of cluttered in with my monthly logs. So trying something new this month. I do go in with a ruler on this side, and I think my pencil lines were not straight, so I try to fix them here with my pen, and it kind of messed up a little bit. Or like my pen was not writing good, so I switched to 0.5 pen, and I had moved my ruler, so it does kind of offset that line, but that's okay. It's vintage, so it doesn't bother me. You know, embrace the mistakes. So these are the first 4 days of the month, so it's not a full week, and then I'm just sectioning off the week, so Monday through Sunday. And then I do the same on the next 2 pages, the next spread. And this is for my income and my bills, as well as my spending. So the left-hand side is going to be my income for the month. I am self-employed, so I do track that on paper as well as in my accounting system. But I like to write it down every time I check my finances. And then on the right-hand side, I keep a log of my automatic bill payments, my non-automatic bill payments that are scheduled, and then also my spending for the day. So just kind of helps me get a whole month overview at a glance, and it's very convenient to have it all at the beginning of the month. So here I'm just rewriting the days of the month. It takes like just a few seconds to set this up, so it's so fast and easy, and I love it. Because you just write the 1 through 30 and then the days of the month that match up. And I apologize, my unmanicured hands. I did my nails later that night, so I do apologize for my nails not being pretty to look at. But as you can see, I'm just writing the letter that corresponds with the day. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and I do mark Thursday with an R because I don't know, that's just me. And then I'm going to go in with some stamping here in a minute to just kind of vintage it up. Okay, so here I'm taking this ticket texture that came as an add-on for the By the Well for God Take Heed kit. And I'm just stamping that brushed corduroy color just kind of randomly on patches of the stamp, and then I'm just kind of going in on the edges of the stamp. So I realized that the short end probably didn't cover the entire bottom half, so I go in with the long end, and I really love the way this turned out. It's just very, you can't tell what it says, and it's just enough. And I apologize, my head got in the frame there. But you kind of got to see where you're stamping. So I'm just leaving this on the stamp backer sheet and just pressing it very like light-handed, so I'm not like worried if I get a good impression or not. But I really love the way this turned out, and I'm using a second impression of that same part where I just stamped, and that way I get a much more non-perfect impression at the top, which is what I want, so that my titles can go up there and not kind of compete with that stamping. So I'm just inking some more on the other side, and then I'm turning it to the elongated side and then pushing down on the paper and just kind of making sure I get an impression of sorts. So there we have that. I love the way this turned out, because once I put the black ink down and I distressed the page with the same brush corduroy distress ink, I get a very vintage look. And then I just have my income and expenses. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. So really you just want to brush from the edge inward. You don't, like, I see it right there, I kind of got an impression of ink on the page, so I should have started from the edge. But if you start from the edge and work your way in, and then you can kind of use the remnants of the ink towards the inner parts of the page. But I do kind of want to leave some of that white so you can read my writing. But I love how this turned out as well. So I'm just going to go in with my Tombow Fudenosuke hard tip pen and write income on the left hand, and then on the right hand I'm just going to write expenses. So this does, the income kind of does compete with that background, but that's okay. I go in later with a white jelly roll pen and just kind of help it pop off the page a little bit more. But the expenses is great because the stamping didn't get a great impression, and that actually worked to my favor. So if I had it to do over again, I would have done like secondhand stamping on the top. But I was experimenting with my stamping. This is the first time that I've used kit stamps in my setups. So as you can see, my monthly log, my cover page, and moving right along. So income and expenses, and then I just decided to do my prayer requests on this page, and we kind of go in with the same technique of stamping this ticket texture, and I do that more heavy-handed on the right-hand side. So get that, and I just really am blotchy with it because this is going to be like a running list of things that I'm praying for, and then at the end of the month I write all my answered prayers into my Bible. But this just kind of helps me see, like, what was I praying for in the month of September, what was important. So I'm kind of combining we're trying it, I haven't ever done this before, but I'm trying to combine like my spiritual Bible bujo, whatever you want to call it, into my regular bujo. So this is kind of the first step in that process of like, moving everything over. So I am just continuing to get the ink off that stamp. I love how it kind of is imperfectly perfect. Makes my heart happy. So again, this is just a 2-page running list of things that I'm praying for. Not actual prayers on this page. It's just going to be a list of things that are important for me to remember every day that I need to keep in prayer and pray without ceasing. So I probably won't even fill up this 2-page spread because I'm not really praying for a lot of my own things, but for my family and things like that, I do put that here as well. So it is personal. I don't include that in my setup. I'll fill that in later. But let me comment below if you guys want to see a flip through of my January through August journals. I actually was in 2 separate journals, so I filled up January through June in one Leuchtturm this year, and then I only got July and August in the second Leuchtturm, and then I realized I needed a much thicker journal, so this Sequins is 400 pages. I'm hoping I get a lot more use out of it. Oh, and here I split the book, so Sequins it's like perfect bound, so it is made to where you can split the book and put it to the other side. I don't know if you can tell, but I have that on the back side of where I'm writing, and that just kind of balances out the pages, so I'm not like writing on a really thin piece of paper on the left hand side. And it's really nice because the Sequins perfect binding keeps it from messing up the spine. So I'm just writing in my title here as well. And same thing with the income title. I do go back in with a white gel pen and just kind of pop off this title from the stamping. But either way, it shows up really well, like in person, much more than it does on camera. But I'm just writing prayer requests in my Tom Beaufort and Osuki. And that's just going to be a running list as well. So there you have it. That's my September plan with me. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope it gave you some inspiration on really easy, minimal setup. And let me know in the comments what you guys think. And thanks for joining. Subscribe if you liked it, and hit that bell notification if you want to see more. Thanks. Bye-bye.